A vital artery connecting the United States to Alaska has been abruptly severed, sending shockwaves through both nations and leaving communities on edge. In a move that stunned officials and citizens alike, the Canadian government has halted all commercial transit along the key route to Alaska, effectively creating a land blockade and isolating the state from the lower 48. The sudden closure has left many questioning what could have prompted such a drastic step. This unprecedented action has ignited a diplomatic firestorm, threatening decades of close cooperation and mutual trust between the US and Canada. Tensions are running high as both sides scramble to respond. Across Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, supply chains are grinding to a halt, and economic anxieties are soaring. Store shelves are emptying, and businesses that rely on cross-border trade are facing mounting losses. Trucks carrying essential goods, everything from food and fuel to medical supplies, are now stranded at checkpoints in British Columbia and the Yukon, unable to proceed. Drivers wait anxiously, uncertain when or if they'll be allowed to continue their journeys. In Washington, American officials are scrambling for answers, urgently questioning the timing and motives behind Ottawa's decision. Emergency meetings are underway as leaders seek to understand the full scope of the crisis. The closure of the Alaska Highway, a critical lifeline for thousands, has left Alaskans and local businesses in disbelief. Many are struggling to comprehend how quickly their access to vital goods and services has been cut off. The sudden action raises serious doubts about the reliability of international agreements and casts a shadow over the future of North American trade. Idle cargo containers and stalled shipments are stark symbols of the uncertainty now gripping the region. The blockade is a stark reminder that even the strongest alliances can be tested by unexpected events. What was once a symbol of friendship now stands as a barrier, both physical and diplomatic. The U.S. now faces the daunting task of supplying over 730,000 Alaskans without its primary land route. Alternative supply chains are being considered, but air and sea routes are costly and limited in capacity, raising concerns about long-term sustainability. The situation is a major test for the current administration's diplomatic skills as leaders work around the clock to find a resolution and reassure the public. Political figures, including former President Trump, are seizing the moment to voice outrage and criticize the government's handling of the crisis. The blockade has quickly become a flashpoint in the national political debate. As days pass and trucks remain backed up for miles, the pressure mounts, turning what began as a regional issue into a full-blown national emergency. The economic and social impacts are spreading far beyond the border. The world is watching closely as a once stable border becomes a flashpoint with global repercussions. Allies and rivals alike are gauging how North America will respond to this unexpected crisis and what it might mean for the future of international cooperation. The Alaska Highway is more than just a road, it's a powerful symbol of wartime cooperation and shared determination between two nations. When it was first built, it represented a monumental engineering feat, uniting American and Canadian forces in a race against time and harsh conditions. Today, it stands as a modern economic lifeline, pulsing with the movement of goods, people, and ideas across thousands of miles of rugged wilderness. Constructed during the urgency of World War II, the highway forges a vital link between Alaska and the lower 48 states, threading its way through the heart of Canada. It remains Alaska's primary artery, essential for the steady flow of supplies, commerce, and travelers. Nearly 40% of Alaska's inbound freight, everything from food and medical supplies to heavy machinery, relies on this route. The highway is the backbone of the state's supply chain, supporting communities large and small. Without the highway, Alaska is forced to depend on slower, more expensive sea and air transport, which can be unreliable, especially during harsh weather or emergencies. The highway's importance goes beyond commerce. It is a strategic asset for national security, supplying U.S. military bases that are critical for Arctic defense and rapid response in a changing geopolitical landscape. Any disruption to this route threatens not only military readiness, but also the nation's ability to respond swiftly to regional threats or humanitarian crises in the north. For decades, treaties and agreements have ensured smooth transit, making the highway a cornerstone of U.S.-Canada relations and a testament to international trust and cooperation. Most Americans have taken this seamless arrangement for granted, rarely considering the delicate balance that keeps the highway open. Until now. The sudden closure has exposed a hidden vulnerability. the reality of relying on another nation for access to a vital part of one's own country. What was once a routine journey for families, truckers, and tourists has become a complex international dilemma, filled with uncertainty and frustration. The crisis has shattered the long-held perception of seamless cooperation, forcing both nations to confront the fragility of their partnership. Alaska's connection to the rest of the nation is suddenly in jeopardy, raising urgent questions about sovereignty, security, and the future of cross-border ties. The stakes have never been higher for both countries, as the world watches to see how this critical link and the relationship it represents will endure. Ottawa claims the decision was driven by urgent environmental and security concerns. Accelerated permafrost thaw is causing road damage, raising fears of catastrophic infrastructure failure. Canada also cites a spike in smuggling and insufficient inspection capabilities along the remote highway. First Nations communities have filed grievances over environmental impacts and lack of economic benefit. The government says it's legally and morally obligated to address these concerns, pausing transit to consult with Indigenous leaders. Ottawa insists the closure is not punitive, but a responsible step to protect its territory and people. The route will reopen only when environmental, security, and community issues are resolved. The no timeline has been given, leaving the U.S. and Alaska in costly uncertainty. The crisis is now a test of patience and diplomacy. The closure has halted $8 billion in annual northbound goods, including groceries and perishable foods. This disruption affects not only the availability of essential items but also the livelihoods of those dependent on this trade route. About 750 trucks cross daily during peak season, carrying nearly 40% of Alaska's freight. These trucks are vital lifelines, ensuring that goods reach their destinations on time. Sea and air alternatives are costly and limited. Shipping by sea can double transport costs, and vessel space is scarce. The maritime routes, while an option, are not feasible for all types of cargo. Air freight is even pricier, reserved for only the most urgent shipments. This mode of transport is often used for high-value or time-sensitive goods, making it inaccessible for regular shipments. Shifting even a fraction of highway cargo to air would require an unsustainable fleet of planes. The infrastructure and resources needed for such a shift are currently unavailable. The impact is two-way. Alaska's exports, like seafood and minerals, are also stranded. These industries are crucial to the state's economy, and their stagnation has far-reaching consequences. The fishing industry, which relies on refrigerated trucks, faces major losses. Without the ability to transport fresh catch, the industry is at a standstill. Mining operations can't move equipment or product efficiently. This bottleneck affects production schedules and financial forecasts. The closure is a double blow, isolating Alaska as both a consumer and a producer. The state finds itself cut off, struggling to maintain its economic balance. The economic pain is immediate and widespread. Communities are feeling the strain as shelves remain empty, and businesses face uncertainty. Supply chains are fractured, and businesses on both sides of the border are reeling. The ripple effects of this disruption are felt far and wide, impacting countless lives. The numbers reveal a crisis with no easy fix. As costs rise and delays mount, finding a solution becomes increasingly urgent. Within days, Alaskan grocery stores reported shortages and empty shelves. Just-in-time logistics left little buffer, amplifying the shock. Small businesses face impossible choices: pay exorbitant shipping fees or shut down. The construction industry is near a standstill, threatening jobs and economic stability. The pain extends south. Washington State's logistics sector is reeling from lost demand. Trucking companies and warehouses dedicated to the Alaska route are idled. The port of Tacoma is overwhelmed as businesses scramble for alternatives. Alaska's congressional delegation is demanding federal relief, with costs already in the billions. The crisis exposes the fragility of supply chains in isolated regions. What began as a border dispute is now a national economic emergency. The Biden administration has launched urgent diplomatic talks with Canada, seeking a swift resolution. A multi-agency task force is coordinating with shipping and air cargo companies to keep Alaska supplied. Military transport is being considered as a costly, short-term fix. Legal teams are reviewing treaties for possible violations, but the White House is wary of escalating the conflict. Quiet diplomacy is the preferred strategy, but critics in Congress demand a tougher stance. Some lawmakers are drafting bills for retaliatory tariffs and tolls on Canadian goods. The administration is caught between diplomacy and mounting political pressure. The search for solutions is a race against time. Former President Trump quickly seized on the crisis, calling Canada's move an act of war and slamming the Biden administration as weak. At rallies and online, he promised harsh retaliation, tariffs, border shutdowns, and more. Trump's rhetoric has reframed the issue as a test of American strength, energizing his base and pressuring Republicans to demand confrontation. His intervention has complicated diplomatic efforts, making quiet negotiation harder for both governments. Canadian officials now face their own public pressure not to appear weak. The crisis has become a centerpiece of U.S. political debate, fueling division ahead of the next election. Trump's America First message is back in the spotlight. The border dispute is now a proxy for the future of U.S. foreign policy. The highway closure has become a fierce domestic political battle. Republicans, echoing Trump, demand retaliation and blame the Biden administration for weakness. Democrats urge diplomacy, warning that a trade war with Canada would be disastrous. The crisis is now a central campaign issue in border and industrial states. The debate has reignited calls for infrastructure independence, like building an all-American road to Alaska. What was once unthinkable now seems necessary to many Americans. As the standoff drags on, the U.S.-Canada relationship is at a crossroads. Canada defends its right to protect its land. The U.S. sees the move as a betrayal of trust. The crisis has exposed the risks of relying on foreign-controlled supply lines. Calls for infrastructure independence are growing louder. The future of the alliance hangs in the balance. Will diplomacy prevail, or will the rift deepen? The northern blockade has broken more than a supply chain. It's shaken a long-held trust. The world waits to see if this is a passing storm or a permanent shift in North American relations.